Hi, I'm Rob, and in this Gems of War video, I'm going to tell you what I think of the weapons and troops in the Soulforge this week. Are they worth crafting, or should you basically avoid them? There are some really good summoning stone troops in there as well, so I'll tell you what they are. If you're a newer player, you're definitely not going to want to miss them. Anyway, why did the Invisible Man turn down a job offer? He couldn't see himself doing it, so he just didn't do it. Ah, God. Anyway, the weekly event troop is Voiceless Golem. Pan's Veil Epic. Let's take a look at what it does. Explodes a gem, then silences a random enemy for each yellow gem destroyed. Okay, there's a lot of troops which do silence, but this actually does it in a fairly interesting way by exploding a gem. If you explode a gem that's not on the edge, you're going to destroy 9 gems. So if you destroy 4 yellow ones, then you've got a chance to literally silence the entire other team just by them looking at a goat. Imagine being, that's embarrassing, isn't it? Imagine you're like a really powerful troop like the Wild King or Taurius or something like that, like a raging bull, and a goat looks at you, and that's it. You can't, you're frozen. You can't cast your spell just because you looked at a goat. That is embarrassing if you're someone really powerful. Anyway, that's what it does. The traits, immune to silence, pretty cool. Reduced damage from skulls, 50%, really good as well. And the first one, gain 1 armor when an enemy casts a spell. It's a, this makes it interesting actually. It's a Wild Folk and Construct. Construct in particular, being brown and yellow with its mana colours. That could be actually really good because you can easily get a 50% start on that by using Geomancer. And then, yeah, you could get a silence going really quickly on the other side. That is actually pretty decent, actually, being a construct. That changed it. I was kind of thinking semi-useless golem rather than voiceless golem, 5 out of 10 at first. But the fact it is construct and uses those mana colours, that's got a lot of potential in many different teams for that to be really handy. So I'm going to give that a good, very good 7 out of 10. Well done, Voiceless Golem. You're not entirely useless. Anyway, as ever, take this all the way up to Mythic level if you can. This will give you another troop you can take up to level 20, and that is going to help your power level kingdoms in the long run in this game. And you'll also pick up more glory keys and arcane mountain trait stones in this instance. Spoils of war. If you have excess glory, why not spend them on some of this? Event keys, souls, load more treasure maps you really don't want. When are we going to be able to do something with these excess resources, which we have by the absolute truckload, some of us, and literally cannot do a single thing with? Maybe something for the future, who knows? Anyway, onto the Soulforge itself. Let's take a look at the weapons first. As ever, I'm not going to go over the ones which are here all the time, just the ones that are new this week. Sleigh bells. Deals, looks like magic plus 2 damage to an enemy, and a random enemy steal 1 magic from the enemy. Alright, now I don't have this yet, so it looks like you'd steal just 1 magic from the enemy you cast it on, not the random enemy 2. And yeah, it's slightly mediocre. That's not great. Yasmin's Pride. Eliminate all armor from an enemy. Give all allies magic plus 1 life, boosted by armor eliminated. Now, these weapons that eliminate armor first are really, really useful because obviously it is the entire amount of armor. It's like, it doesn't matter how much armor someone's got, whang, it is gone all in one go. And give life this time. I do prefer the weapons like Mang and Earth's Fury, which do damage after that and give a boost to attack or something like that instead. But this does give life, so it will have its place. And things like Mang use red and brown, but this uses green and brown, so will be usable in different teams. Loot of the Veil. Remove all green gems with no effect. They're just taken away. Then deal a magic plus 5 damage to an enemy boosted by the gems removed. And if the enemy is from Pan's Veil, or if the battle is in Pan's Veil, deal double damage. This is kind of like an anti-Pan's Veil weapon. If you're against those Pan Veil troops, green is the colour they like the most, and by taking them away, you basically are removing the gem, which is going to get them charged up nice and quick, or the gem colour. Uses yellow. Very situational though, for that particular instance. Prism Staff, choose a colour, remove all gems of that colour. So a bit like the previous weapon, but this time you can choose a colour and remove all gems of that chosen colour. Again with no effect, then deal scatter damage boosted by the gems removed. So situational, but not entirely useless. What else we got? Glaive of Many Goats, that is better. Deal damage to an enemy boosted by Wildfolk allies, then create a mix of 6 green and yellow for each Wildfolk ally. So in a whole team of Wildfolk allies, this is going to generate a heck of a lot of green and yellow. So it doesn't use green and yellow, it uses red and brown, but this is kind of good because there are a lot of Wildfolks that use green and yellow. So you generate the colours for them, charge them up nice and quickly, and get them casting their spells. So a really good weapon that, like that one. It's going to be useful in the world event. Doomed Rod creates 4 blue gems, plus 1 gem per tempering level, gives magic plus 1 armor to all green allies, and if the enemy has a doom, eliminate all armor from a random enemy. So a lot going on with that, and it just doesn't seem to synergize that well to me. It uses green, so you've got a green using weapon, but creates blue and gives armor to all green allies. So to benefit from that properly, you need all green allies, but some of them needing blue, because otherwise why are you creating blue? Bizarre. And if the enemy has a doom, eliminate all armor from a random enemy who you may have already stripped the armor from, or may have already lost that armor. So yeah, definitely not the best. That is one of the more collectible doomed weapons for me. And anything else? Daisy's Cudgel. Explode magic plus 1 green gems. Grant a random status effect to all Pan's Veil allies. Then summon a Pan's Veil troop. So another weapon which is going to be useful for the world event, but works in a different way to the other one. The other one, if you had more of the... Let's go back to it. If you had more Wildfolk allies, you create more of those colours to charge them up. With this one, it is slightly different. You explode gems to charge the team up and have a summon at the same time. It depends upon what you prefer. Do you prefer to just charge the team up really quickly? Or do you prefer just the explosion of gems while having the safety of a summon at the same time? I do really like these explodey weapons. It's guaranteed mana, if you know what I mean. The other ones where they create all those gems, even with a full roster of, in this case, Wildfolk allies, you sometimes don't get a match, and it's like, you know, I like things to work, and this is guaranteed to work, this one. I prefer this one overall, I have to be honest. Uses brown and purple, explodes green, can charge up the whole team, and give you a summon at the same time. Pretty nifty. Right, on to the troops. I'll go over these first because there are some really handy ones if you're a newer player. First of all, in the green summoning stone, we have Mercy. See her all the time, even in the most powerful teams. This is how good she is. Starts battles with full mana, gives life to the weakest ally, transforms purple to yellow, and cleanses all allies at the same time. Pretty decent. Worth a few rolls of the dice with your summoning stones. See if she turns up. No one spectacular there. Oh, it's purple. Purple. Spend some of your summoning stones in here. Leprechaun. Absolutely one of the best troops in the game. Starts battles with full mana. You can just cast him straight away. Explode green gems. Charge your team up. Gain gold. So many good things about Leprechaun. It is just crazy. If you haven't got him, you need him. Thrall. Again. Awesomely good. Gains bonus mana from purple gem matches, destroys an amount of gems based on your magic level, takes some damage, don't care about the rest, but it's the fact that he's a really good mana generator and only costs 6 mana to cast is what makes him so good. Very, very good indeed. So make sure you grab those two if you can, and Mercy. Alright, next up we have, let's do the mythics first. Start from the bottom, work our way up. Torius, a crazy raging bull. Deals damage to all enemies boosted by his attack, life and armor, then knock the first enemy to the back. Now this troop wasn't particularly well received when it came along, but I actually quite liked it in a team with ferocity, which is how it works best. A team of bulls, they work best as a pack. And this is the same with the troop like this. Now, it doesn't sound like that's much damage, but it does get boosted up in the ferocity team, and that knock the first enemy to the back mechanic is not to be underestimated. That can completely turn a battle on its head. That simple thing on its own, knocking the first enemy to the back. So it is good, but in the correct team, but far from essential at the same time. Oh my goodness. Shade of Zorn and Fall of Valdis. This is like the battle of the badness, isn't it? Shade of pretty rubbish. Deals damage to an enemy boosted by red allies and skulls. If the enemy dies, summon 2 Fists of Zorn. 24 mana cost, and the traits are nothing special either. Very collectible. Just wait for that to turn up in a chest randomly and then go, did I really get that? Never mind. Better than a punch in the face. Fallen Valdis. I don't know. I think I might rather have a punch in the face. No, I wouldn't. Making it up. Anyway, deals damage to all enemies, boosted by, explode 3 Doom Skulls, boosted by divine enemies, and silence divine enemies. Fallen Valdis came along at a time in the game where divines were mega popular in the game and they were completely dominant and everyone was getting a little bit fed up with it. So Fallen Valdis was invented. But then the power creep in the game came along and things changed and divines fell by the wayside, and so did she, and she's been a rubbish mythic ever since. There are times where she may be useful against an all-divine team, for example. But even then, there are other ways you maybe would prefer to go about it. So, yeah. Fallen over, never to be seen again, Valdis, in a way. Megavore, that is more like it. Eliminates all armor from all enemies, just like that. All the armor, kaboosh, gone. Then deal a whopping amount of damage to the enemy and submerge itself. Gains 2 life on 4 or 5 gem matches, is impervious, and an 8% chance to kill the last enemy on 4 or 5 gem matches. That is huge on its own. That happens quite regular. Fantastic troop for Guild Wars. People see this on the other side and it just makes you super wary of giving away any 4 matches, because you know that can happen. I mean, it's like, I'm all for giving other mythics a chance. Like, I really do try and find the good things in all mythics when they come along. And I do think that somewhere in the game there is a way of making everything equal. There must be, after all, some kind of power algorithm in the game the devs use to see the potential of a mythic. But how is Fallen Valdis, how is that spell the same level as that with those traits? I don't get it. It's crazy. And Shade of Zorn, that's the same mana cost as well. Just that damage to an enemy. And not very good traits. How is that equal to that? Anyway, I digress. Let's take a look at the legendaries as ever. Do not recommend spending your hard-earned diamonds on these. They turn up far easier in chests, so I would definitely wait for that. But let's take a look at these first. King Bloodhammer. Extremely good troop. Extremely good. Deals damage to the 2 strongest enemies and transforms all blue to Doom Skulls to boost the damage. So you can check the board first, make sure you're going to get some alignment on those blue to Doom Skulls, and cast him away. And he is very good indeed. Do like him. Dracos 1337. Silence, stun and drain magic-based mana from an enemy with a 25% chance to destroy them. Pretty decent. I'm not a fan of these ones that have the chance to destroy them or kill them in their spell with a percentage chance. It's like you are relying on luck more than anything, but when it works, it is very satisfying indeed. Same as Kerberos. Higher chance this time. Deals damage to an enemy with a 40% chance to devour them. So again, when that works, very satisfying, but you are literally rolling the dice and relying on luck. The Silent One silences all enemies and himself, which is not surprising to see because he hasn't got a mouth, he hasn't even got a face. So yeah, and silence enemies when doing skull damage is not too bad. Would have been good if he had some sort of skull damage protection to make him more tanky in the first place. He hasn't got that. So he normally operates further down the order of your team. Can be useful, just don't see him very often anymore because there are other ways to silence enemies that don't require silencing yourself at the same time. Alright, so there it is. Now all we have left to do is decide who is this week's worthy monthly mythic. Who is the best mythic? If you're determined to spend your diamonds, who should you do it on? Fallen Valdez? Don't be silly. Shade of Zorn? Get the heck out of here. Don't be even more crazy. Torius? No, he's alright, but only really works in one team. Megavore works in God knows how many teams, and fantastic for Guild Wars, and really good for Explore 12. I'll show a team later on how you can use this spell to really good effect and fast as well. Absolutely superb mythic. Easily my mythic of the week. And there it is. There's the Soulforge video. I'll be back later on today with my World Event team. Be sure to check that out later on. But thanks for watching this video, and I'll catch you next time. Bye for now.